So let's give you some examples about how we manage to get what we want, be it as tourism providers, be it as farmers, be it as green space managers, to get what we want, but on the dog owner's terms. And this example is great because very often people change stuff and don't do any evaluation about what it was like before or after. So this is in Hampshire. This is a place called Danebury Hill Fort, which was getting to be a point where even dog owners didn't want to go there. So it's very popular because there was lots of farmland around it, but this was a place where they wanted to go. It was owned by the council. And there were problems that to make it good for wildlife, it was good to have the areas grazed by sheep every so often because that makes it better for butterflies and insects and this sort of thing. And there was an old hill fort at the top here, ancient hill fort, scheduled ancient monument, where they wanted to graze that so that trees didn't grow and spoil the archaeology, but again they were being scared by dogs, and because of the ridges and furrows you couldn't see where the sheep were. And also there were problems that even though they were offering the grazing for free to farmers, the farmers didn't want to do it because there were too many sheep being attacked. So the council was like, okay, what do we do? Because we want people to come, because actually if we just close the site, even if they could, they'll just walk their dogs somewhere else, probably nearby farmland. And actually we want them to come, we just want to change what they do in certain places. So their approach to this, and this could apply to sort of some of your country parks or these principles anyway, depending on what you want to do. Their starting point was that actually people are still going to want to walk their dogs off lead somewhere. So how do we actually manage to accommodate that rather than suppress it or pretend that if we stop it on this site, that the world's a better place, because actually they'll probably do it somewhere else. So how do we particularly work with dog owners, the community of dog owners, to actually work with them, and instead of just saying up no or don't, actually build rapport with them so that they help us to get them all to do the right thing? How do we make it easier to dispose of dog waste, because poo is being left behind? And how can we be clearer about where dogs need to be on lead as well as off lead? Because they didn't need to graze the whole area all the time, but just some of the time and rotate the sheep around. So what they did, they moved an existing bin from in the car park to further towards where the poo wasn't being picked up, because poo bins work best where they're easiest to fill by the users rather than easiest to empty by the contractors. They had some on-site events to actually engage with the dog owners and make them feel valued and welcome, but also to actually ask, why is this happening? Why are sheep getting chased and this sort of thing? And they introduced a traffic light system. So like red, Paws, as you entered areas, was like no dogs, green. They used the term exercise area, and again, they changed that, because if we use words like exercise area or dog trail or stuff, what does that mean? Does that mean it's the only route for dogs? Or is that just a better route for dogs, or can they go a different way? So actually they've changed that as to being off lead, and the amber is on lead. And of course putting the wording underneath is helpful as well, because if you're colourblind this doesn't work very well. But basically being clear about where leads were needed. Traffic light system and a new leaflet. And actually what they did, so when you went into the car park, people were really clear from the start, because of the signage, which way the sheep were. So for example, there's signage that's saying the sheep are now grazing in lower copse, please clean up, so that people could go, when they arrived on site, they know where the sheep were, where they weren't, and actually they chose to avoid conflict. Or for those people who were happy to have their dog on a lead and actually didn't want other people's dogs running up to them, they would choose to go into the dogs in the lead area. And actually the hill fort at the top, where they put no dogs, red Paws, there wasn't any legal restriction on that, and in fact technically it was unlawful under the Countryside and Rights of Way Act to say don't go. But because you'd given dog owners the choice of somewhere to go where they'd be happy and could do it, they weren't bothered about going into the hill fort. And some of the great things that had happened, since they did that, there were no attacks on livestock since. So the graziers came back, because there's this whole point, people didn't want to go walking with the sheep. They just didn't have a choice of where to go. And because the signage changed and they were confident that it was there to help them make good choices rather than just appearing to be anti-dog, they worked with it. There was an 82% reduction in poo left on site, and again they'd done this fixed point photography, so before and after, and this is where, like you were saying, they'd put the little flags in. People understood more where they were on and off lead areas, but there was also a better rapport with the dog owners. And it was also good, they were writing to their elected members and this sort of thing, saying, oh, well, that's brilliant, we've got the sheep and stuff, but actually we can walk our dog. It's actually, even though they're using a smaller part of the site, because of knowing where the sheep are, they're actually having a better experience. And it's great that we've got the research to go behind that.